Hey, this is Mike, 𝚂𝚘𝚌𝚔 Vinyl. I'm doing another video. This video is going to be hard rock and glam metal, and this is going to be starting with 1994 and going back. So all those albums that I showed in the first video were were all made in the 2000s. So let's start with an interesting album here. This album technically is not out on vinyl yet, officially. So this is an unofficial copy or a bootleg, and I was really curious about this album. There's a website called, I think it's Rolling Rex, and sometimes they have unofficial presses of different albums on there, of the more popular stuff from glam. I know they had a Cinderella Still Climbing album, for example, and they had this album on there a few times, actually. I almost bought it then. My local store here had it a couple times, actually, and I almost bought it then, but my understanding is it was a different album cover. This isn't an exact replica of the original copy, but that happens sometimes with just represses as well. You end up not getting the same exact album that was pressed in whatever year with the repress. They change it sometimes. So that's kind of what happened here. This is an album that is kind of a little bit sought after because it's one of the only albums that was only pressed on vinyl once. Because the original lead singer of the band was not on this record, I think that was one of the reasons why it never got released. Plus, this album gets mixed reviews. It's not like loved by everybody, but it's also not hated by everybody. It's just kind of in the middle. And that is the Mötley Crüe self-titled album from 1994. This is kind of, obviously grunge was hitting. So they kind of jumped on the bandwagon a little bit here. Now, this album is still glam metal. I would say it's still glam. I'm not going to take that away from it, but it does have a little bit different sound on it. Some songs are a bit more glam and some are just not really that glam. They're just kind of hard rock or even a little bit grungy. And the guitar tone on here, honestly, I think the guitar tone on here is better than Dr. Feelgood. I really don't like that guitar tone on Dr. Feelgood that much. It's not my favorite guitar tone that Mick has done throughout all the albums, but up to this album, I would say that this is definitely a better guitar tone than is on Dr. Feelgood. I just don't like that guitar tone at all, kind of. This album is pretty good. It's really good, actually. I don't know if I want to rank it, but I would just say that this is a really good album. From what I understand and what I think is, I believe this is accurate, is that the back cover of this album, the other bootleg, the older ones, had a picture on the back of the album, and Vince Neil was still in the picture, even though 𝚂𝚘𝚘𝚘 is the lead vocalist on this album. I don't know why they did that on the original boot. I guess they really just weren't trying to be good, with reproducing the album cover the way it originally was. This one comes with a lyric sheet as well. So it's a pretty good bootleg. So I would say that the album cover looks really good. I mean, the picture on the back isn't terrible. You can still make everybody out. And it came on the gold. Like I said, it also has an inner sleeve with the same picture that's on the back of the album and a lyric sheet. Now, this is slightly different, I believe, from the original press. The original press, I don't think, had a lyric sheet like this. I guess the big thing about this and what I was hoping to expect from this is that it would sound good. And you know what? It sounds fantastic. It really sounds really, really, really good. I obviously don't have an original press. The original press of this album was only pressed in Europe, I believe. Maybe there was a US, but maybe I don't think there was very many copies because it's very, very hard to get on vinyl, those original presses. So I don't have anything to compare to, but as far as the way this sounds on my system, everything sounds clear. Unless you have an original press to compare to, it's really hard to tell unless it is a bad press. And I can't tell if this is a bad press. The songs sound great. Everything is clear. Vocals are good. There's good instrument separation. And the guitar is, a bit thicker and heavier, kind of like that got Dr. Feelgood, but I think it's just a better, crunchier sound than the Dr. Feelgood guitar tone. Yeah, and it's a pretty good album. There's some good ballads on here, good rockin' tunes. One of the things I noticed when these bands hit the 90s, they really stopped singing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like exclusively. That's one of, I think, the biggest differences between, 90s glam metal and the 80s glam metal is the lyrical content. I really think that maybe it's just because they did get older and they changed the lyrical content a little bit. So that's one big change about 90s Crüe. And obviously the vocals of 𝚂𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘. Now the vocals for 𝚂𝚘𝚘𝚘𝚘, I think they're okay. I think people I know people who said, oh, his vocals are excellent. They're really, really good. They fit Mötley Crüe great. And I think they do. They're okay. But Vince is the sound of Mötley Crüe. And I think Vince would have sounded fine on this album. I really do. Vince sounds great on record. Obviously, live, Vince has problems. He has a lot of fucking problems live. Can't deny that. But on the record, Vince does sound really great. So I think Vince could have sounded good on this album. I would have been okay with Vince on this album. But anyway, 𝚁𝚌𝚕 does sound good too. It's just that his voice is different. It's more gravelly, more raw. He doesn't have the highs, I don't think, that Vince can do. At least he doesn't showcase them on this album very much. And yeah, I think Vince would have been fine in this album. But anyway, it's a bootleg. It sounds great. I would recommend it if you can get a hold of it. It's really good. Here's another one from the 90s. This one album, believe it or not, came out the same year. But this band did not change. Maybe they changed their lyrical content a little bit. Kind of like I said, a lot of these bands from the 90s kind of updated what they were singing about. But this band also didn't always just sing straight up about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know, they always had kind of a mixture of different kind of songs. The biggest problem with this album is the album cover. And in this case, that's Cinderella, and this is the Still Climbing album. This is the Music on Vinyl reissue. Now, the original album, the only time it was ever pressed on vinyl, it was pressed on a clear vinyl for the original presses. So that original press is it has kind of gone down in price because I think of this reissue. I've seen it as low as like 70, 75 bucks. So, and it was 100 to 120, even up to 150 at some points where, you know, you couldn't buy this album for, you know, a decent price at all. But now you can get it for 40 bucks, you know, and that's what I paid for this. I got it from my local store, Recyclable Records. Thank you, Ronnie. He ordered this for me, and yeah, fantastic album. There's so many good songs on here, and Cinderella sounds better than ever. I think that this is better than Long Cold Winter. Long Cold Winter is not my favorite album from them. I definitely like Night Songs a lot better. And I think I like this album probably, yeah, maybe not as much, but it's up there, maybe second best of their stuff. Yeah, really, really, really good stuff. The only thing that's awful about this is this album cover. It makes no fucking sense. I mean, I get it, still climbing the ladder, but who gives a fuck? That's dumb. I think that is so stupid. But also how plain it is and how it's not glam metal at all. Like, you would never know that this was Cinderella, the glam metal band from the 80s. And what sucks is the music on here is right out of 1988, 1990. It sounds right in there. I think this would have been a better sound-wise and song-wise album to follow up Night Songs instead of Long Cold Winter would have been this album. I really think that they went back to their roots with this one. It's kind of a mix between Night Songs and Long Cold Winter, in my opinion, because Heartbreak Station kind of went off on its own, got really bluesy. They really weren't very glam on that album at all. But this, they kind of went back to their glam roots, except for this stupid album cover. But anyway, other than that, excellent album. Highly recommend you pick this up. It's kind of like it's a brand new release because it's, you know, the vinyl is so hard to get. It's almost like Cinderella has a new album because this is so good. It's so underrated, I think. I don't really hear people talk about it much at all, probably because they don't have the record and not many people do. But still, I think it's one of the highlights of especially 90s glam, you know. They didn't get grungy or anything like that. They didn't do the Mötley Crüe thing. They didn't do the kind of the Poison Native Tongue thing where they changed their sound enough to be like, to me, it kind of crossed some type of line, you know, where glam metal can go up to where you're not 100% glam metal anymore. You're like, you lose some of it. These guys stayed way back on this album, and they're totally in glam territory here. Really, really good stuff. Love this album. Highly recommend it. Some really, really great songs on there that would have been great hit singles on Headbangers Ball. It would have been awesome.
Sorry, you missed the
All right, this one is, I never heard of this band before, and I saw this at Recyclable Records. Sometimes he just gets these interesting off the wall, you know, C, C or D hard rock, glam metal bands that were around in the, you know, 80s or 90s. And this is a band called Law and Order. This, I think, was their only album and the only pressing of this on vinyl. I believe most of these were maybe promos, but this is kind of a good band. They're good, not great. Again, like C-level hard rock. I had read a little bit that they were going to tour with Mother Love Bone and stuff like that. So they kind of have a little bit of that kind of feel to it. This is a Real Gone Music reissue, so this one was a little bit cheaper. And my understanding is that a bunch of record stores were supposed to get this album, but a lot didn't, or they got very few copies actually in the store. And I almost didn't get this because I believe that they sold out online at one point, but then I think they put it up for a little bit longer because when I found out that these weren't getting delivered to the stores, I immediately went online and bought one, and I might have got one of the last copies because right after that, like even the next day, I think they were gone. And this is a really good album. I am actually really surprised how good this is. And this is Firehouse. This is the self-titled album. It comes in this kind of fire orange and black colored vinyl. And I didn't even know this. It's a double platinum album. I didn't know it sold that many copies. So that's like 2 million copies. Really, really good sales for this album. And the album itself is actually really fantastic. The hit singles on here, I actually didn't know that. I knew Don't Treat Me Bad. That was the song that I knew. I actually had that on a CD single, and I played it all the time. I fucking love that. But there was another song on here. Was it All She Wrote, I think? That was a really good one. And then also the huge hit single, and this is the song that obviously got them, sold them 2 million copies. I think Don't Treat Me Bad probably sold them the first million, but the song Love of a Lifetime sold them the second million. So yeah, really good songs there, great hit singles, but all the deep cuts on here are heavy. They're really good. I kind of recommend this album. I think it's really good. Yeah, the hit singles are good, but it's also got a really heavy guitar tone on it for the deep cuts, and they're just great songs. I'm glad I got a copy. It's really hard to get this now. I don't think you can I mean, I think it's sold out pretty much everywhere. So if you didn't get it, you're probably gonna have to wait for the second pressing. Now, Real Gun Music is really good about that. Hopefully they got licensing to do multiple presses of this, because it like I said, I think it's pretty much sold out everywhere.
Bye, bye, baby, bye, bye. That was all she wrote.
All right, the last album that I picked up, this is a original press because there is no repress. And I've been waiting, and I'm finally at the point where I didn't want to wait anymore. And I listened to this album a few times, Spotify, before I bought it. I was cutting the grass. I listened to it like twice all the way through. And I was like, you know what? I really do want it. It's really good. The hit singles on here are good. I liked all three of them. I also like a lot of the deep cuts. And this album is just really good. And it's the Dangerous Toys self-titled album. I paid $113 for this record. I paid a lot of fucking money for it. But that's about what it goes for. It goes for over $100. Now, I got it for $99 plus shipping, which ended up shipping and tax, which ended up being like $113. And I bid on this on a whatnot I got it up to $100, but then I didn't want to go any higher. And it ended up going for $125, plus $5 shipping. So it would have been $130 there. So I did save a little bit of money. And yeah, I rarely have seen this album under $100 on Discogs anyway, and it doesn't show up a lot on other places. It's not on eBay a lot, and the ones that are on Discogs are overpriced, but every once in a while one pops up where, you know, you get a decent price. And the cover on this, the guy said he was selling it cheaper because he said the cover was like discolored, but it's not discolored. And what's cool, this is a promo. Yeah, totally a promo. It has the promo sticker on the back, which covers up a little bit of the cover, but I don't care about that. I think the promos are great. You know, one thing about promos that maybe it's a myth, but maybe it's not, is that these are some of the very first records that came off the press. So these should be, you know, some of the early stampers that were used, and they should have been, you know, sent out to record stores and stuff like that, or radio stations early on. So, I mean, that could be just, you know, what we were making up, you know, because we don't know for sure, but it makes sense, you know, that might be the case. Or they could have just, you know, grabbed a bunch of random ones after they, you know, pressed them and stamped promo on them. Who knows? But yeah, this album sounds great. Whoever had this actually took care of it. You know, once I got it and I played it, I was very happy with the copy that I got. Great album. Scared obviously has a great fucking hook on it. I love that it has a little bit of nod to Alice Cooper on there. Really fun. Teasin' and Pleasin' is a funny song. I still like the chorus to that and the video and stuff. Really fun. And the song that really shines on here is, I think it's Queen of the Nile. Really, really, really good song. Great hook on there. Really fun album. All the deep cuts on here are good. And I never owned this album back in the day. I never had it. I only listened to the singles, and I, you know, liked what I heard back then, but I just didn't pick this album up ever. It's kind of why it took me so long to pick it up. You know, I picked up a lot of albums from my youth early on of my collecting, you know, from 2017, 2018, stuff like that. I picked up a lot of stuff that I really, really wanted. So now I'm kind of going into things that I was not familiar with when I was younger, but I know have good pedigree. I definitely knew this album from the, you know, Headbangers Ball and stuff like that. And I can say for sure that this album is really great.
She makes me shudder. She makes me say
And yeah, that's the end of the glam metal stuff that I picked up. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and see ya. Thank you. Bye.